Whoa. Hi, guys. Hang on here. I'm trying to figure out why my computer is... Oh, it went to sleep. I don't understand. Hang on here. Talk about weird. Make sure I'm on live chat so I can see everything. Oh, Trish, hi.
Oh my God.
Oh, I'm getting wait a minute. Sorry, guys. Turn the volume down on my laptop. I'm getting an ad. Now I'm getting another ad. Okay. Live chat. Hello. Yes. Okay. Trish says, hello, happy Tuesday. That was me yesterday, Trish. I was like, oh, we're going camping tomorrow. No. So we're leaving to go camping Thursday evening. Today's Wednesday. It took me forever yesterday to figure out that I was a day ahead. Why is that? What happened this week that we're all discombobulated in the week? I don't know. But you got an ad too. It's so weird. Okay, so YouTube is actually automatically adding ads, if that makes sense, all over the place in videos, mainly in the middle. Like, it's crazy. You know, my channel, oh, look at all my drawers are open. Anyway, I didn't clean up first, whatever, who cares? I am monetized for YouTube. I get maybe $100 every 3 months. It's not anything major. And there are a lot of videos that I will specifically click no ads, because I want you to be able to see the whole thing without getting interrupted. And that's one of these. These hashtag Wisdom Wednesday, that's a tongue twister for me. I don't put in there that I want ads anywhere in the videos, and it does it anyway. I don't, of course, I'm a little bit, well, I have issues when it comes to technology. I try and go basic and simple. That's why a lot of my videos, there's no editing. Some of them there are, but if I record a video that I'm going to edit, it takes me to complete it. You do the video, it takes what, 20 to 30 minutes, and then editing and then getting it all ready to upload. That's like a 4 or 5 hour process. That's why I don't edit, because it takes the joy out of hanging out with you guys. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. So today we are in our Proverbs Wisdom Study Guide, and we're doing days 4 and 5 for week 6. I don't care if you got the homework done or not. I don't care if you didn't have time to even look at it. It's more important to just hang out. Trish, you don't edit either. Yeah, I understand that a lot of people's videos that are edited are really cool and it's fun. It's just a lot. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of stress. And to me, it just takes the joy out of creating. And yeah, anyway, I am working on editing a video. I decided I was going to do something simple but fun, and I was going to edit. I just decided ahead of time, I'm going to edit. So I'm trying that. Again, every once in a while, I'll try it. But yeah, I have my something to drink here because for some reason my throat is dry today. So here's my question for you today. Trish, I see you're here. I don't know if anybody else is here. If you're here, please say hi in the chat so we know you're here. But Trish, what's been bringing you joy? I hadn't thought about it till now. I say I've been busy, but what I've been busy doing is getting ready to go camping. So it's making the lists, doing the grocery shopping. Oh, I did have to take my car an hour away to the Subaru dealership and get this thing done, like a computer software update done. And then I had to find, because we're going camping in the middle of the woods, it's not an actual campground, and we have dogs. We have ticks in this area in the middle of the woods. And so I was trying to research natural remedies for ticks for dogs. So then I had to go buy, some essential oils, go figure out where to buy fractionated coconut oil, because if I had thought about it ahead of time, I could have ordered online on doTERRA or Revive essential oils, but I waited too long. Anyway, so then I had to make the concoction. I've just had a lot going on that's not anything, it's just dumb stuff. We did get to go hang out for dinner at a Chinese restaurant with some friends that went on a cruise. And so that was fun. It brought me joy hanging out with them and just hearing all about their cruise and the fun things they got to do, you know. And so if I think about it, actually, the busyness of getting ready to go camping brings me joy. It's funny because, you know, I've been married almost 30 years and we've been camping we do a lot of camping. And what happens is my husband and I somehow, I don't know how this, it's not like we talked about it. We have this routine. He does these things and I do these things. And somehow that makes it so everything comes together and it just works. What I mean is, like, he fills the propane tanks for the trailer. He checks and makes sure the batteries are charged. He fills the water tank. He checks the tire pressure. And, you know, we sit together and talk about what we want to eat when we're there. And so then I'll make the list and make sure everything's packed and make sure we have, you know, our water bottles to drink and the coffee is packed and the coffee filters. And I'll make sure that, like, we have camp chairs. There's just, anyway, so that does bring me joy that somehow, some way, we just naturally come together. He does these things and I do these things. It comes together and it's done. And we've never discussed, hey, you're going to do this and I'm going to do this. It's just this weird, amazing teamwork. And knowing we're going camping, you know, it's just a short weekend trip, not short. We're leaving Thursday night. We're going to go Friday, Saturday, Sunday, back Monday, Memorial Day, which is my youngest granddaughter's first birthday. She was born last year, the day after Memorial Day. So anyway, that too is bringing me joy. It's sad because she's a year old already, but oh my gosh, she's a year old. And so yes, another joy. So let me read what Trish says. Bringing me joy is preparing for my neighbor girl's wedding this weekend. Oh my gosh, she's 30 and getting married. Oh, yay. You found fur life for natural tick repellent for dogs. So I did find a natural, okay, give me a second. I'm going to run to the kitchen. Hold on. Oh my. Okay, sorry. Okay, so Trish, here's what I found. It's called Wonderside Flea and Tick Pet and Home. Kills, repels, and prevents fleas, ticks, and mosquitoes. So I found this at a pet store, and it is all natural. It's like lemongrass and, anyway, all natural. Not a big deal. So you could spray this on their coat, on their bedding, things like that. But then I got that fractionated coconut oil and I got an old glass jar. What was it? Bay leaves. And I added the fractionated coconut oil and I did, see, it's lavender, eucalyptus, thyme, rosemary. It was supposed to also have geranium, but I don't have any geranium. Anyway, now I need a little dropper. And I'm so glad we're talking about this. This is so off subject, but now I'm going to write myself a note. I need geranium oil and a dropper. Like, you know, maybe just one of those baby medicine droppers. But now I have my note because I do need to go to town later. So, Trish, thank you. Kiki! Hi. Dude, it is no big deal that you're late. I'm jibber-jabbering about things that we're talking about joy. What's bringing you joy? And we're going camping. Anyway, and I was talking to Trish and whoever might be listening behind the scenes without, you know, commenting about camping stuff, and I don't give my dogs the flea and tick meds where they chew them or on the back of their neck, but we have ticks, and I was talking about needing natural tick stuff. So, yeah. So, I got that, Trish. I have not heard of Fur Life, but I'll have to look that up for sure. Kiki being here brings me joy today. I needed this. I did too. You know what? I'm gonna admit, 3 days ago, it was in the evening, and I kind of thought, oh, am I getting sick? And then the next day, I thought I might be running a low-grade fever, like I might be fighting a cold, or I don't know. And even today, I still kind of feel like that. It's weird. My energy's fine. I just kind of feel, I don't know how to explain it. Like maybe I'm fighting a cold. I don't know. And I just thought, it's horrible, guys, and I'm sorry, but I don't want to do this. Is there a way we can skip this week? I'm here to tell you I decided no, because somehow, it's the Lord, reminded me that when we're doing anything that the Lord has called us to do, that has to do with, fellowship and leading ourselves or others closer to the Lord, getting in his word, but basically following what we're in his footsteps, what we're supposed to be doing. We're a threat to the enemy. He does not want us doing any of God's work at all. He wants us as far away from the Lord as we can be. And I decided that I can't let that happen. I have to be here. So I'm glad that we're here today. And Kiki, I'm glad that brings you joy, because it does bring me joy too. Joyce Meyer Junk Journals. Giving to others brings me joy. Yes. Yes. I'm talking to you, Joyce. I need to ask you a question. Okay. You are blessed by blessing others, right? It brings you joy. Do you realize that when you are doing that, you are giving grace? Grace is unearned, undeserved favor. So let's say you go and buy a bouquet of flowers for a friend. You're not doing it because they've done something to earn it, or, they deserve it, because they did this for you or whatever. You're just spreading a gift of grace, right? Let me ask you this. This is my question, Joyce. And everybody else, actually. How are you with receiving grace? If you're anything like me, it's very easy for me to give and find joy in it. It's hard for me to receive. But something we have to realize is that when somebody asks if they can help us, or they do something nice for us, bring us flowers or a coffee or things like that, we're allowing them to feel what we feel when we do the same. We have to learn how to receive grace well. Just a thought. Kiki, how's your hand on? Did you get the glass shards out? Oh my gosh. Okay. Huh. In case anybody didn't see it, I put a big, fat, freaking warning out there. Caution, warning, very important. I mean, I couldn't stress it enough. I had got, last summer at a garage sale, this little jar. You open it up and it looks like this beautiful, shiny little things, right? And it says to put glue down, and then kind of like glitter, you sprinkle this down and shake off the extra, and it's beautiful. It was called diamond dust. Okay. They are made from actual glass shards. Whoever was the idiot, sorry, that's not nice, but true, that came up with that, they should be turned over their grandma's knee and spanked, because that should never be sold, ever. What happened was I used it, and you sprinkle get off, and now you've got the pretties on your desk, and I just wipe that stuff off the floor, and I just vacuum later. My floor looks like, whoa, a bird's nest after a few days. So I use my hand, my right hand, because I'm right-handed, and I swiped it off onto the floor, and I was like, ow, my hand. And you know, you're like this, and it's like, as I went like this, it was like, oh, what happened? My granddaughter was here, and I'm like, will you go in the other room and find my reading glasses? I'm looking at my hand, and I have these itty bitty, almost like you've poked yourself with a needle and blood's coming out all over my hand. And I'm like, oh, so I'm going and I'm looking for the tweezers really quick, and I put my glasses on, and I'm like, my hand is shiny. I have that crap in my fingers. It's stuck in my hands. So I'm trying really hard, and it hurt bad, trying to pull this stuff out. And my granddaughter's like, oh, Grammy, you know, can I help you? I'm like, no, don't touch me. So I got all of them out. It took about an hour, except one piece. I don't know if you can see right there. It's a little red spot. It is still down in there. Ow! So it's down in there. I cannot pull it out. I think it's working itself out. My assumption is my body is just going to work it out like a sliver. I'm just trusting the Lord that he's just gonna, he made my body to heal itself, and that's what it's gonna do. But it's not like it's massively red, or it's not a big deal. So yeah, it's decent. Okay, not a big deal. So, oh, I've done a lot of rambling already. Let's get to it. Joyce, I know that you well, I don't know. Do you have this study guide? It is by Sherry Wagner. It's called Proverbs, the Wise, the Fool, and the Wicked. It's called that because if you read Proverbs, it's talks about the wise person, the fool, and the wicked person. Anyway, if you don't have the study guide, you can get it off Amazon. I think it's like maybe $13 or $15, something like that. I do know the author. She is Bible-based, or we wouldn't be doing this. Anyway, and it started out, the whole point of doing this is this: who or what voices are loudest in our lives? Because the voices lead us, dictate what we do, cause us to believe or become like whatever the loudest voices in our lives are. Where and how can we make it so that God's voice is the loudest voice in our life? By digging into his word. Because that's where his voice speaks the loudest to us, is in his word. And because my friend just released this study recently, and I went to a gathering to kind of gain tools to lead other people through the study, I decided that this was one way that I was going to do that. Just put the invitation out there. And the videos are all hashtag Wisdom Wednesday. And we're going through this study. So those videos are going to stay there. So you're not behind. You can always go back. Anyway, if you or anybody from here on out want to do this with us and you can't afford the study guide, shoot me an email. I'm going to put my email in the comments right now. Because, hold on, let me, Dawn at For Grace Creations at yahoo.com. Okay, there's my email. Just email me, and in the description-y thingy, just put Proverbs study guide, and just let me know that you need help with purchasing a book. So my For Grace Creations, over on, I have a Facebook group. It's private. It's called For Grace VIP group. You have to ask to join, right? I make handmade earrings. I've been doing it out of all kinds of material. I've been doing it for many years. And the money that I make, the proceeds go to help women and children in need. And the biggest need, I think, in our lives is God's word, that his voice is the loudest in our lives. So I am still raising money for more of these books for people who cannot afford them. Anyway, there's just that. But I'm also integrating junk journal stuff over on that, slowly on that page. So you don't have to have the study guide to do this with us. We happen to be getting kind of close to the end. We are in week 6, days 4 and 5. So, Joyce. Oh, your mama. Okay. You know, we are told to pray about everything all the time. And I think that's just as important as reading his word. So I don't think that there is any big deal that you didn't have time for devotion and you only had time for prayer. And I really think that when our mamas take their last breath here on earth, I think that the only thing that gets us through is prayer. Spending time with the Lord. My mom has been not here for 12 years. There's days where it feels like it's been 20, and there's days where it feels like it's been 5 minutes. So everybody that is here, we could be praying for Joyce, because that sadness, the missing mama, whether she was this wonderful mom or she sucked and was the most horrible mom ever, doesn't matter. It's a heart thing. It's sad. And it will come and kind of hit you like a 2x4 at random times. It could be 10 years from now. It could be 10 minutes from now. You just never know. A song will remind you. So let's be praying for her as we think about that. You know, let the Lord put Joyce on our hearts. Kiki says, I call prayer devotion. Yeah, I think so. 90 years old. Oh, wow. Well, that's joyful that she got to live 90 years. Wow. Sorry, chapstick. All right, so turn to page, I don't have my reading glasses on, 177. That's going to be day 4. And we're in Proverbs 28 for day 4. I love this. She starts out, she says, wise words from Proverbs 28 lead well. Hold on, I got an ad popping up. Joyce, you're an only child. Me too. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. You don't meet many only childs anymore. So there is a lot when you're an only child and your parent. Kiki is too. Oh, so when you're, yeah, that's a lot when you're an only child. It's a lot. Why am I getting these? Let's see, turn off all notifications. Thank you. Goodness sakes. Yeah, it's a lot. So anyway, lead well is what she starts off with here. I'm looking down because I got my book down here. I highlighted every single one of us as a leader, even if only in our own lives. So the message to each one of us today is simply this: lead well. How? Well, seek to hear the Lord's voice, right? And seek to walk in wisdom. Well, how do we know if we're walking in wisdom, following in Jesus's footsteps? We have to be in his word. We have to hear his voice to know what's wise, what's wicked, and what's foolish. So I wrote down a word that came to my mind: disciple, right? What's a disciple? Well, basically, it's a dedicated follower of Christ. Let's see. It's a relationship. I wrote these notes down, so I thought I'd read them to you. A relationship where one learns from and is a follower of Jesus Christ. Obedient to the teaching and instructions, imitating the character and behavior of Jesus, but also spreading the gospel or the good news of Jesus and his written word. So I'm going to grab my Bible. I don't know if you have yours close by. If you do, turn to John 8, 31 and 32. It says, oh, and my version today is New Revised Standard Version. It says, then Jesus said to the Jews who had believed in him, If you continue in my word, you are truly my disciples. And you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. So there's a blessing to being in his word. Freedom, knowing truth. But we're called by Jesus to be disciples, to follow him and teach others how to follow him by following him and being in his word, right? Okay, so then, and that was John 8:31 and 32. And then, have you guys heard of, it's called the Great Commission? Has anybody heard? Let me know in the comments. Have you heard that word said, the Great Commission? I don't know who came up with that word, but it's in Matthew 28:19 to 20. Let me write that down in case somebody, the Great Commission, I may spell that wrong, is Matthew, what did I say, 28, no, 19 and 20, 19 and 20. It just occurred to me when I looked down, am I showing you my double chinny chin? We're all friends here, right? Oh my gosh, how embarrassing. Anyway, Matthew 28:19 to 20. Let me read it to you. Okay. 28:19 to 20. Okay, here we go. This is Jesus speaking, okay? And he says, "Go, therefore, and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I've commanded you. And remember, I am with you always to the end of the age." So we are called. Anybody who follows Jesus, who claims they're a believer, a Christian, a little Christ, we're called to go and make disciples. So we are disciples making disciples, right? To do that, you got to be in his word, right? That's my assumption anyway. So there's more. You could read Mark 8, verse 34, where we're called to follow Jesus. Luke 9, verses 23 through 26. But then in our book, it says, let's assume a posture of righteous leadership as we seek to walk in wisdom and influence the lives of those around us. Now, I don't know about you, but just in the last week, I know that I've made some unwise choices. But you know what was great was I can think of one specific incident, and I'm not going to share what it was, but I said something, and within seconds, I was like, oh, ouch, I shouldn't have said that. That was not wise. I made a poor decision, foolish decision. So I had to ask for forgiveness and from the Lord. It was tough, but I think maybe that's part of wisdom and growing to and learning to be wise is noticing, oh, I shouldn't have done that this way. I should do it this way next time. Anyway, turning the page to 178, I love this. Seeking the Lord and the pursuit of him alone leads to what is right. Do you want to know right from wrong, right from left, which way to go? Here's how we do it. We seek the Lord. Like mind blown, it's very easy, but yet not, you know? Sorry, my throat. And then she says, mercy is found in confession. To lead well is to model humility in this way, to be quick to admit when you're wrong and then ask for forgiveness. I was like, oh, I am being wise. I made a mistake because none of us are perfect, right? We're all going to make mistakes. But, oh, the Lord gave me wisdom to recognize it and to know, to be humble enough to admit I was wrong and ask for forgiveness. I was like, thank you, Lord. And then it says, don't trust yourself. Trust in the Lord. Allow him to guide and steer your course. You've got a choice. You can lead from your own strength or you can lead from his strength. One way leads to folly and the other leads to blessing. Lead well, my friends. Would you consider yourself a leader? Did you write any notes on this page like I did? I mean, normally I would have said, no, I am not a leader. Nope. Do I feel like I'm a disciple? Well, the word of God says I am, says you are, which means we are a leader. Whether we feel like it or not. Remember, our feelings can lie to us, but we're leaders. So are we leading well? Are we leading well in our homes, in our marriages, in our families, in our friendships, in our just day-to-day life? Are we leading ourselves well? If you don't have anybody else to lead, are you leading yourself well? Which, by the way, even by just simply going to the grocery store, you're being a leader because there's somebody watching you at all times. Just a thought. I know it's kind of creepy, but okay. So, anybody in the comments feel like you're a leader? Oh, and you're probably laughing at me, aren't you? Because here I am leading you through this Bible study. No, I'm not a leader. I am just a friend who wants to hang out with friends and dig into God's word together. I don't consider myself a leader because you might have some insight that happened, something you got out of the study, and you would then be leading me by sharing when you type. You see what I mean? Kiki, this past Monday, it happened. You apologized because your intent was not to hurt, but that's what had happened. Still feeling guilty because it hurts me to hurt. I get that, and I feel that. And it is hard to let go of that, but that's where grace. Remember, I asked you, how well do you accept grace? Because God freely gives it to you. You are one that freely gives it out. So how about practice freely giving it out to yourself? You've learned from your mistake. You apologized, right? Just take a deep breath and know you're forgiven. Know that the Lord will help you to do better next time. But we're all sinners, saved by grace, right? So give yourself some grace. Yes. Oh, Joyce, he always sends people to me. Nice. I love that. And that's allowing you to practice being a disciple. And I love that you recognize that he's sending people to you. Okay, so let's turn to page 181. She says, why I don't run. And she's talking about she doesn't like to run. She doesn't want to run. And are you guys, any of you runners? Do you run for health reasons? Or do you enjoy going for a good run, a jog? I think you're crazy if you do. Oh, just kidding. Not really. I don't run unless I absolutely have to. And actually, most of the time I would say, if maybe a bear or a cougar or something was running after me, chasing me, that's probably where I'm going to say, oh, Lord, I'm coming home, because I'm not going to run away. I don't like running. If there is any other way to get around, I don't like running. Sorry. Yeah. Trish, I'm only a walker. Yeah, a dog walker. Yeah. Yes. Maybe I am lazy. I don't know. I just don't like to run. It hurts my knees. It hurts my joints. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. Sherry, our author, didn't either. But listen to this. Proverbs 28:1 says, the wicked flee when no one's pursuing them. See, I'm not a runner. Why would I go for a run? I'm just going to be the wicked person because nobody's chasing me. Why am I running? No, I'm teasing again. But it reveals something to us about the wicked one, right? I wrote these notes down. Guilt makes them secretly terrified of being exposed for who and what they really are. So they're always running in some way in life. That anxiety, that panicky, you may not see it, but that's what's going on. The wicked hear me out. This is in the book. I highlighted it. I don't know if anybody else did. It says this: the wicked were not necessarily born wicked. Yes, we're all born sinners. Yes. But the category of the wicked in Proverbs is defined by this: deliberate, willful, ongoing, purposely, without remorse or repentance. So, the wicked flee when no one is pursuing them because they are practicing to get better at being wicked. I don't know if they realize it or not, but anybody else have notes on there, on that page? I know we skipped a lot. There were a bunch of, between talking about leading well and the why we don't run, there was a lot of Bible verses to look up. Out of Proverbs 28, we were supposed to read and look at each verse and look for the characteristics of a good, righteous leader. And then we were to look for the defining characteristics of a bad, angry leader. I don't know, did anybody have any notes? I'm not seeing anything in the chat, so I'm going to move on to day 5 of week 6, page 183. Wise words from Proverbs 29. Teachability, one of the greatest values of the wise. Teachability and trusting God. To be teachable assumes the posture of humility that listens to and receives correction and instruction. So, to be teachable, we have to be humble and be willing to hear and receive correction and instruction. So, correction is going to lead us away from ways we should not go in the good ways. And instruction is, before we ever go on the wrong path, telling us which way to go. It's for our benefit, right? But we have to be willing to hear it and listen. She writes this: it's not easy to value this, but it's wise to. A teachable person effectively destroys the enemy of pride that so often creeps up, even in the best of us. A teachable person invites wisdom into their life, and a teachable person encourages others to do the same. It's contagious. Again, there's leadership. Do you have a friend or a loved one that you're encouraging in wisdom, in the ways of the Lord? You're being a leader. Kiki, sorry, slow typer. No, it's okay. There's also a lag from you to me. It's okay. Evil people don't understand justice. Exactly. But those who seek Adonai understand everything. Proverbs 28:5. Yes. Yes. And Kiki, I just did a little bit of wordplay digging on capital L, capital O, capital R, capital D, and Adonai. The great I am, the sovereignty of our God, the relationship of love and perfection of the Almighty as our Father. Yeah, anyway, it was great. So, let's see. I'm skipping to page 186. And yeah, a little bite of white chocolate. Sorry. I told you, I'm fighting this weird thing. Number 6, on page 186 says this: as I reflect on the whole of Proverbs and on all of its instruction to be wise, I find that much of the way of the foolish person, folly, which, remember, folly leads to wicked, right? It's tied up in the fear of man. We fear man more than we fear God. And when man's opinion matters more to us than God's, we will become ensnared or enslaved to sin and folly. Let me read it again. When we fear man more than we fear God, when man's opinion matters more than God's opinion, we will become ensnared, enslaved to sin and folly, which leads to wickedness. So here's my question. To what degree do you and I struggle with the fear of man versus the fear of God? Are we people pleasers? I mean, we can be honest, can't we? Are we people pleasers? Or are we God pleasers? And why? Anybody? Are you like me and admit that you're struggling and trying to work on being a God pleaser instead of a people pleaser? I'm going to admit that is where I was not wise and had to ask the Lord for forgiveness this last week. Was what I said was proving that I was trying to fit in and be a people pleaser when really I'm supposed to please the Lord, and he made me to not fit in. I'm not supposed to be of this world. I am supposed to be of heaven and the Lord and all things holy, and I'm not called to fit in on this earth anyway. So, but I realized I was being a people pleaser instead of a God pleaser, and when I realized it stung, it hurt, and I am having to really work on that. I've been a people pleaser all my life. I'm trying to go against that. Kiki says, yeah, she struggles with people pleasing. Joyce, I'm a God pleaser because I do things that I know he loves. Yay. Someone, you're the first person I've not met because we're not in person, but heard of that doesn't struggle with being a people pleaser. And I'm so grateful for that. That is amazing. Can you teach us? Trish says, I know I'm a people pleaser because I want others to like me. Ouch, yes. But I also try to please God within those boundaries or limits. I'm usually the black sheep in the crowd. Yeah. You know what? Joyce is teaching the grandkids by doing this. So they see, yes. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do for little grandkids. And it's hard. But, you know, again, there's something else we can be praying for each other. That those of us who tend to be people pleasers and we want to be God pleasers instead. And then Joyce, who is a God pleaser, trying to lead others in the same good way. We could be praying for each other that we succeed in that the Lord just comes alongside us and holds our hand and lovingly leads us in wisdom, the right way, right? I have a question, just something to think about real quick, because I'm going to go to the Bible verse. Is people pleasing a sin? Is being a people pleaser sinful? Okay, I've got this John Corson's commentary on the Bible, and I'm going to grab this really quick. I wrote a note. Listen to this. Having to do with Proverbs 29, verses 24 and 25, about this, do we people please or man please? Listen to this. The fear of man is a snare indeed. In the enemy city of Gath, now this is out of 1 Samuel 29, okay? David suddenly becomes frightened when he heard that the people recognize him as the one who slew Goliath. So what did he do? He pretended to be insane. And he's all drooling and spit's running down his beard and he's clawing at the gates. And the Philistine leader said, screams, open the gates, let him out. There's a crazy man. David was a brilliant, great man. Yet the fear of the Lord, or the fear of man caused him to act like an idiot. It says, do not be afraid of men. It is the fear of God that is the beginning of wisdom. Remember, The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. We read that at the very beginning of Proverbs. Therefore, only be concerned about what he is thinking. That's hard, but that's a great analogy. I mean, look at the story in 1 Samuel 29. David acted like an idiot because he was fearing people instead of fearing the Lord. He was people pleasing instead of pleasing the Lord. Even David made mistakes, right? Is people pleasing a sin? Let's just look at that for a minute, okay? All right. Do you have your Bible? I'm going to grab mine. Let's go to Acts chapter 5, verses 27 to 32. And I'll just read it to you really quick. Okay. When they had brought them, I really should have my reading glasses. They had them stand before the council. The high priest questioned them, saying, "We gave you strict orders not to teach in Jesus' name. Yet, here you have filled Jerusalem with your teaching of Jesus, and you're determined to bring this man's blood on us." But Peter and the apostles answered, okay, this is verse 29, "We must obey God rather than any human authority." We must obey God rather than any human authority. Okay, then, real quick, let's go to Galatians chapter 1, verse 10. Let me read that. Am I now seeking human approval or God's approval? Am I trying to please people? Listen. If I were still pleasing people and seeking to be a people pleaser, I would not be a servant of Christ. I want you to look in the comments at what Joyce said. We can only serve one master. Are we serving man or are we serving the Lord? The Bible, I don't remember the verse because I didn't write it down, but there is a verse in the Bible that says that do everything as unto the Lord. If you are serving, do it as though you are serving the Lord. I understand you're serving another person, but don't do it to be recognized by that person or anybody else. Do it because you feel led to serve the Lord. Do it because you love the Lord so much that your natural response is to serve others because you love him, right? Now, I can say all these things and I can give you all the Bible verses, but could it be that being a people pleaser is sinful? We are called to serve the Lord. And by doing that, we let him lead us in serving other people, but we are not to be seeking the glory and honor of others. We are to be seeking the glory, the honor of the Lord, and giving him glory and giving him honor. So maybe could it be that people pleasing is a sin? I don't know, just something to chew on. But okay, so did anybody else have any notes there? What about page 187? Do you have any highlighting on page 187 about the wisdom from above? I just want you to really quick look at mine. Okay? There's some circled things and highlighting. Look at your own book. Tell me, do you have anything circled or highlighted? Yes, Joyce. Yeah, that's true. That's true. It is easier that way. Yeah. So basically, James 3, verse 17. It's one of the most instructive and concise verses on wisdom that we actually have. That was James 3:17. Let me write that in the comment thing here. James, what's happening? No caps lock. James 3:17. It tells us what true wisdom is. Wisdom is pure, peace-loving, gentle, compliant, full of mercy, unwavering, without pretense. It doesn't pretend to, it's not fake, pretending to be something it's not. So she says here on page 87, the next time you think about wisdom, use James 3:17 as your guide. The wisdom that's calling out to us in Proverbs looks like the wisdom described in James 3:17. I think to really get it, we're going to have to simply ask the Lord to help us. That's my thought. So is there anything that you guys want to cover from this before we go into praise reports and prayer needs? Let me know. I will give it a minute here because I know there's a lag. Yep. More chocolate. More chocolate. So I know, as I wait for things to come through, you could also be giving praise reports. Anybody have praise reports? Oh, and last week, we were talking about praise leading the way and how in the Old Testament, this is cool. I need a piece of paper. As a junk journaler, you'd think I'd have paper everywhere, but the truth is that I do not. Let me grab a black Sharpie. Praise leads the way. The Lord has designed it so that praise leads the way. I'm sure there's many reasons as to why. I mean, he knows what's best, right? I'm drawing a picture. Hold on. I'm doing this quick. And my pen is running out. Oh, no. Hang on. Anyway, praise leading the way. Oftentimes, whether it was in battle or in the wilderness, traveling, the Lord set up a plan as to how he wanted his people to travel. And praise led the way, whether it was they're just moving from one spot to the next, whether they're going into battle. It was the tribe of Judah. Judah means praise, right? I couldn't remember what tribe it was last week. It was the tribe of Judah. I want you to see how the Lord, when they were camped, okay, when Israel was camped, they weren't going anywhere. He specifically told all the tribes where to, the Lord told them each where to camp when they were not moving in the wilderness, okay? He told each tribe, here's where you're going to set up. I'd like you to see a picture of exactly what that setup looked like. If you were up high, a bird, say, looking down at where everybody was camped, do you know this is what it would look like? It was a cross. And when they moved and traveled, okay, and this is not when they were in battle, this is just moving through the wilderness. The camps moved in this, obviously it's a cross. They moved in this, as you watch them move, they're moving in this pattern. Who is here? If this is where they lead, who was here? This was the tribe of Judah, you guys. Isn't that crazy? So I just love how the Lord works. I don't have the Bible verses to tell you where to dig into that, but it is when the Israelites were traveling through the wilderness. But when they would come to a battle to fight, the tribe of Judah always went first. Praise always should lead the way. So, okay, with that, before we ask for prayer needs, do we have any praise reports? I don't know if you remember way back towards the beginning of this, my son-in-law went to the emergency room anyway, and they ended up, he's been on some medication for ulcers, and there was a herniated ulcer or something. He's slowly getting better. The medicines are helping. The nutrition plan, don't eat spicy foods, no alcohol, bland. It's working. So he is getting better, and they finally found him another doctor to do another scan to see how everything's going. So, I mean, it's taken a while. I don't understand why it's been that long. So he finally next week has another appointment to go and see how things are progressing. So that's a praise report right there. Trish, praise report, your sister. Nice. Nice. Okay, prayer needs. We'll finish with prayer needs. Hang on, I'm almost done. Give me like 5 minutes. Oh, Kiki says her mother-in-law's doing better. Nice. Yeah, I mean, she's with you and not in a home, if we will say, being taken care of. At least she's home with you. That's good. I don't think anybody likes to be away from home. But I'd rather be taken care of by family members and loved ones than hospital nurses and staffs or nursing home, people I don't know in a space I don't know. So that's yay. But prayer needs, prayer needs. I would say some of the things we've already discussed, obviously, as the Lord leads, maybe be praying for Joyce because of her mom taking her last breath here and running on ahead to heaven before her in January. And, you know, I know maybe Patty isn't here. She's out of town, but I know Patty, it's only been about a year since her mama ran ahead. And so every once in a while, you know, shoot a prayer up for her as well. And I would say, for me, I don't often ask for prayer. I don't know why I do that, but without going into details, because the Lord knows the details, I would just say finances. It's nothing major, but anyway. And then, I know this might sound silly to some of you, but so our home is a place where if you have nowhere to live, come anyway. There are restrictions, no drugs, no alcohol, you know. Anyway, my cousin lives here, and so my cousin, him, my husband, and now my adult son, my middle child, they all sold their dirt bikes and they bought the kind that can be ridden on the dirt or the pavement, you know, blinkers, license plate. Think dirt bike, but it's street legal. So maybe prayer for me that I just simply rest and trust in the Lord with the men in my life that have these bikes, but that I'd like to say, could you be praying for these men that they would just sell the bikes and not ride them on the pavement? I know there are people that ride motorcycles and they love it, but I can't. It's dangerous. I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I actually got that phone call and I got that photo of my youngest son laying in the middle of the highway. Was it? Anyway, it was in Oregon City, on the highway, right in the middle. He's laying on the ground. There's an ambulance come to get him. And anyway, he's alive. He's fine. It's like the Lord totally covered him. But thankfully, praise the Lord, he sold his bike. But what I'm saying is, anyway, be praying for that. I don't like that they have these. It just makes me feel icky. So, what else? What else? Prayer needs, guys. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and come back next week. We are, you can still write your prayer needs. As a matter of fact, when the stream ends, just keep writing your prayer needs. And something I need you to understand. We serve a big God. He knows your name and he knows your prayer needs. He knows every minute detail. Prayer is Huge, you guys. You do not have to put any details in the comments. So if you have prayer needs and you don't want to give names and details, you could do something like this. Pray for P, a S, give a letter. Um, God knows the details. Do you see what I'm saying? Because then we can be praying for you, for whoever the person is, without having the details. Because like I said, God knows them. And he knows what's on our hearts before we even speak it. So we may as well be praying for each other. Kiki, finances for us as well, medical bills. Yeah. Oh, Trish. Oh, yeah. Oh, ugh. It gives me the willies just thinking about the kids on the bikes. Yeah. Pray for Trish's son as he settles into his new state and job. Wow. How far away from you, Trish, is he? Ooh, wow. That's hard. What was I saying before? My fume squirrel. Commenting, prayer needs, even when the stream ends. Oh, next week. Oh my gosh. Okay. Next week, we'll be here live at 11. We are going to be on week 7. I'm going to say if you have this study guide, do as much of it as you can or want. I don't know how far I'll get. My plan is to bring this study guide, Bible, commentaries with me to the campsite. We're camping over for a few days, and I don't know how much I'll get through, but we'll just come back, and who knows how much we'll go through. And we might get through the whole week. We may only do half. I don't know. But week 7 is the last week. And if you don't have this, Joyce, week 7, we are reading Proverbs 30 is day 1. Day 2 is 31. Day 3 is Proverbs. Oh my goodness. What's happening? Oh, day 3 is the profile of the wicked. So we're reading Proverbs chapter 1 to chapter 6. Kind of reviewing. Day 4 is the profile of the fool, reading chapters 1 through 12. Just a kind of a going over what we already have read. Day 5 is the profile of the wise, chapter 1 through 22. That's a lot, but then we're done. So just do whatever you have time to do. Dig as deep as you want to dig. When we come back, I'm actually not going to say do day 1, 2, 3, 4, any of that, because I'm hoping the Lord's going to lead. We're just going to let him take the reins on this last week, because maybe it's not our last week. Maybe it's going to be broken up into 3 weeks. I don't know. But can I encourage you to pretty please take some notes, do some highlighting, write some things down. If you have questions or leave things blank, put a question mark, do a circle. Come back and have something to share with me, with everybody else, just for fun. And I would say this. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May his face shine upon you and give you peace through this week. I will see you at 11 o'clock next week, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. It makes me feel very loved. And I hope the Lord is speaking to you in your life. And if he is, whoop, whoop, we give him all the glory. Bye, guys.